students, dear colleagues, welcome to our webinar. This is our first webinar this year. We launched the platform for education. And this webinar is going to be about English for baccalaureate. And we're going to start from Unit 1, which is about the law. Before we start, my colleague Sana is going to show you a clip, a video. Let's watch the video together, and after that, we start. Is it not working?
Both of my sons left. Both of them left because they didn't want to be bothered with her.
They didn't want to be around her because she's a lesbian, correct?
No, sir. They accepted her being a lesbian. Everyone knew that she was gay.
Did you know that Justin pistol whipped her that night on the 5th? Hit her with a pistol. Did you know that? Yes or no? Did Detective Curry tell you that? That he took a photograph of her eye because Justin pistol whipped her with a pistol. Did you know that?
Objection.
Move away from the witness.
Did you know that? I will.
I don't want you approaching the
That's
witness
fine.
like that.
I'm fine.
You understand?
I understand.
Don't approach the witness like that.
All right, I won't.
Stay where you're at and questions from there.
All right. Didn't you know that? Did Detective Curry tell you that your son pistol whipped Donna? He ever tell you that? Yes or no?
Mr. Curry.
Did he tell you that? Yes or no?
Objection.
Did he tell you that?
Objection.
Did he tell you that? Yes or no?
Objection.
Stop.
Your Honor, can I have an answer to the question?
This is actually an abuse of a witness as he keeps asking repeated questions, not giving him a chance to answer these questions. If you would keep it simple.
All right, I'll ask you again. Did Detective Curry, this gentleman sitting at the trial table, tell you that your son, Justin, hit Donna with a pistol in the face and gave her a black eye? Did he tell you that?
Yes or no? Give me yes or no answers.
No, sir.
Next question.
How about a circle?
All right, I'm gonna circle what you drew there, and that's going to be where you were when the shots were heard, correct? I circled
Wait,
it.
wait. See this door here?
But don't write on this thing, because I want markers.
I'm more here, sir.
Well, sir, I asked you to be where you were when you heard the shots, correct? Did I ask you?
I signed, sir. I put it there, but I'm telling you.
Excuse me again, if Mr. Duff would step away, it seems to
I
me.
think I'm being very gentle with it.
No,
I had a mark it up. Go back.
You have marked on here. You have marked on here with DL where you were when the shots were heard. Yes or no? Did you do that? Yes or no?
it's not right by the door, sir. I put it right. If you can.
You want to remark it?
Yes.
Remark it. DL, please.
The person behind this back.
Sir, you can't come here. See, this is where my mark is.
Don't push me, Jennifer.
Excuse me, sir. This is where my mark is. But this is the opening of the door, right? And this, I'm right by the opening of the door, right here, sir. See, and it's still.
Put a circle around that, sir. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, how many feet from your, is that your bedroom door that you're by?
Yes, sir.
You want to take it to your arms?
I'll take it.
I need to see what he does if that's the problem. There's no way to project. All right. Now, the couch, is that indicated on that drawing where he was laying before she arrived? And your testimony was when she entered the room, your exact words were that.
Okay, dear students, dear colleagues, we come back after we have watched the clip. Let me, before we start our webinar, to introduce ourselves. I started myself, Abdul Majid Ogorli, coordinator of English language at the NCCD, National Center for Curricular Development. My colleague, Mayada Basal from Hama Directorate. And Mr. Samir Al-Masri, Damascus Countryside Directorate, is teacher of English. And from the left, we start with Sana Ismail, teacher of English, Damascus Countryside, and Ms. Maha Ashoush, English supervisor, Homs Directorate. Well, after we have watched the clip, what it's very clear that it was about, Mr. Samir?
It was a trial,
A trial at
a court.
a court. So we saw a courtroom, and what did we see inside it?
Yes, we see the judge.
The judge.
Yes. the
Who
judge.
can define the judge for our dear students?
Yes.
A judge
The
is?
judge is someone who controls the trial. Usually he holds a mallet in his hand.
Yeah, okay. What else did we see?
The lawyer.
The lawyer.
The lawyer is the one who supports or defends the accused person. Perhaps he will suggest whether this accused person is guilty or not.
He is going to defend
Yeah, he will
the
defend.
accused person, and
He
who
will
is going to
support
decide
or
if
defend.
he is
Yes,
guilty
the
or not guilty?
Yeah, to prove whether he
jury.
is
The jury,
guilty
yes.
or
What
not.
is a jury?
A jury is a group of people who attend the trial.
And they listen to everything,
To
step by
everything,
step.
Yes,
Yeah.
to say whether somebody is guilty
In
or
the
not.
end, the judge asks the jury about their decision, and they will start one by one to say
Yeah.
either guilty or not guilty.
Or not
Do
guilty.
all countries have juries in their courts?
No,
No, some countries
them,
have
yeah.
juries.
it's in America or Western Europe.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanger. Now, what else did we see? The prosecutor.
The
The prosecutor.
The prosecutor is the one
Yeah.
who is accusing the criminal, and the prosecutor tries to show that the criminal or the accused person is guilty.
Or not.
So he works contrary to the lawyer.
Lawyer.
Yes.
Well, Ms. Sana is going now to start to show us the parts of the courtroom on the screen. So the title of our lesson is The Law. Second picture, Ms. Sana,
Now,
please.
the second picture is the courtroom.
Yeah.
Yes, as you can see, it's a place where the trial are taking place.
So the courtroom is where the trial takes place.
Yes.
Thank you. The following picture, please. And this is
This is the judge.
the judge.
Yes.
We explained the judge to be the person who controls the process of the trial. And here is
She is the lawyer.
the lawyer.
Yes.
It's clear that she's the lawyer. She defends the person who is accused. What can we see behind the lawyer?
Behind the lawyer is the jury.
The jury, group of people who listen,
And
monitor,
decide
and decide in the
whether
end guilty
the person is guilty or not.
or not guilty.
Now, the last picture.
This picture is from our book.
Okay.
Now, our students
Mm-hmm.
know this picture from their book. Now, who can tell us, dear colleagues, about these two pictures? What are they telling us?
I'll show you.
Okay. Ms. Mayada, please.
We have two pictures, one on the left, and one on the right.
Yeah.
We can see here an old man sitting on a chair, and there is a humble man or a general.
So, no, what we are doing now, Ms. Mayada, if we were the students,
Yeah.
we are going to look at the pictures and think about it.
Yeah.
Think about
So we can think about a lot of issues, maybe right, maybe not
Yeah.
very
The old man
correct.
is talking to this man, and he looks like a judge. I think he's an old man. So he's in the ancient times. We know in history that there was an old man, very famous. His name is Hammurabi. This is the statue of Hammurabi,
Yes.
and his law is very.
Okay, Ms. Samri, you want to say something?
Yes, I think he is an ancient ruler and his advisor
Mm-hmm.
who wants to give him
And his advisor.
some laws.
Yes. The next picture, there is a big building. I think it's in Damascus.
Yes. Sure, it is in Damascus. It is the Justice Palace in Damascus.
People sit on chairs in a modern place and they can judge all cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have a picture from the old times, and the next one is in the modern time.
Now, what can you tell us about the first picture, Miss Sana?
Okay, in the first picture here we see Hammurabi,
Mm-hmm.
and the one with him is the goddess of the sun. Actually, he's giving him a set of rules, as you can see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it is a historical picture to show us that law didn't start today. It started in history, and without law, it will lead to chaos.
Chaos, yes.
Of course. So we start our lesson usually asking the students to look at the picture and to think and tell us as teachers what they think. Then we're going, before we start the lesson, to give them the new vocabs. We have vocabs in our books. The first one is enforce. Now, usually we give time to the students to match between the words and the definitions.
Yeah.
Miss Maha, first word, please.
Yeah, enforce, it means to put into practice or carry out.
Yes.
Means
So
yes.
enforce is to put into practice.
Yes.
Thank you. The second word, Miss Sana.
The second word is govern.
Govern.
Govern means to control.
Yeah. Govern means to control. And this is where the word government came from. Miss Mayada, the following word.
Guilty
Guilty.
is the one who is responsible for a crime.
It is opposite to
Innocent.
innocent. Thank you. Mr. Samir, please.
Innocent, not responsible for a crime.
Thank you. So guilty and innocent are two opposites.
Yes.
Are two opposites. We come back to Ms. Maha.
Yeah.
The following word
Jury means
jury.
Jury, yeah. It means a group of people in a court who decide whether someone is guilty.
Yes, and we mentioned this before we come to this exercise. Ms. Sana, legal.
Legal means relating to the law.
So it is the adjective from law, and students are going to use these two words, law and legal.
And the opposite of illegal.
Illegal is the opposite of legal, yes. So usually illegal issues needs to be discussed in court. Miss Mayada.
And principle now.
Principle.
It means law, a rule, or belief.
Yes, rule or a belief.
Or a belief. Property, then property.
Property.
Yeah, Mr. Samir, property.
Something valuable which belongs to someone.
Now, is property a word with one meaning?
No, it has more than one meaning.
More than one meaning, and we are going to talk about this in the following process. Now we have the last word here.
Prove.
Prove. Prove, Ms. Maha.
Prove means to show that something is true.
So to prove, to show that something is true. We work as a person, I work, I explain until to show that something is true, so I prove then. Now, Mr. Samir, can you start the audio there, please?
Yes.
The first one to the, yes. We're going now to listen, dear students, to the audio of exercise 3. Just one click, Mr. Samir. Yes, play. Click play. Yes.
Page 11, Exercise 5, 1.1. Listen again and choose the correct answers to these questions.
Good morning. Can anyone tell me what the law is?
It's the collection of rules of a country, isn't it?
That's right. The law is the code or set of rules which governs all individuals and organizations in society. The first code of laws was made 4,000 years ago. Some actions have always been crimes, almost everywhere. Can anyone suggest an action of this kind?
How about theft?
Yes, that's certainly one. And of course, murder is another. Another basic principle of most systems of law is that a person is innocent until someone proves that he or she is guilty. Okay, let's move on. Can someone tell me who makes laws?
Governments make laws, don't they?
That's right. In most modern societies, governments make laws and the police and judges enforce them. In some countries, juries, made up of members of the public, decide whether an accused person is innocent or guilty. In most systems, there are three main types of law. Firstly, the one that people know most about, criminal law, which deals with murder and other acts of violence and crimes against property, such as theft. The second type is civil law, which deals with a wide range of actions, from arguments between neighbours to the behaviour of large companies. And can anyone tell me what the third type of law is?
Is it personal law?
Not quite. It's family law, which is concerned mainly with family relationships, marriage, adoption, and the welfare of children. Now, as you should expect, individuals who have committed murder or theft are sent to prison. But what would be a typical punishment for people who have done something less serious, like damaging their neighbor's property?
They usually have to pay a fine, don't they?
Yes, that's right. Okay, my final question is this. Why is it so important to have laws?
More people would behave badly if we didn't have laws, wouldn't they?
That's right. The simple truth is this. Without laws, there would be chaos.
Well, to be fair, usually when we teach listening, we let the students listen twice. We're going to listen again.
Page 11, Exercise 5, 1.1. Listen again and choose the correct answers to these questions.
Good morning. Can anyone tell me what the law is?
It's the collection of rules of a country, isn't it?
That's right. The law is the code or set of rules which governs all individuals.
Well, certainly. We have a lot of ways to ask or teach listening, as everyone knows. But most importantly, especially now, we are focusing on listening because it is very important. In the book, we have two kinds of questions. One to be asked the students before we listen, and the second after we listen. So why do we have two times of listening? First, for gist or general meaning, and the second time for details. We had questions in the book about the original of law, who makes law, and how old is law, such and such. Now, when we listen the second time, I'm going to replay it, we are going to find out as students the answers.
And organizations in society. The first code of laws was made 4,000 years ago. Some actions have always been crimes, almost everywhere. Can anyone suggest an action of this kind?
How about theft?
Yes, that's certainly one. And of course, murder is another. Another basic principle of most systems of law is that a person is innocent until someone proves that he or she is guilty. Okay, let's move on. Can someone tell me who makes laws?
Governments make laws, don't they?
That's right. In most modern societies, governments make laws and the police and judges enforce them. In some countries, juries, made up of members of the public, decide whether an accused person is innocent or guilty. In most systems, there are three main types of law. Firstly, the one that people know most about, criminal law, which deals with murder and other acts of violence and crimes against property, such as theft. The second type is civil law, which deals with a wide range of actions, from arguments between neighbours to the behaviour of large companies. And can anyone tell me what the third type of law is?
Is it personal law?
Not quite. It's family law, which is concerned mainly with family relationships, marriage, adoption, and the welfare of children. Now, as you should expect, individuals who have committed murder or theft are sent to prison. But what would be a typical punishment for people who have done something less serious, like damaging their neighbour's property?
They usually have to pay a fine, don't they?
Yes, that's right. Okay, my final question is this. Why is it so important to have laws?
More people would behave badly if we didn't have laws, wouldn't they?
That's right. The simple truth is this. Without laws, there would be chaos.
Okay. So, before we discuss, teachers need to vary in practicing listening. So we have many choices. One of them is to pause the clip, the audio, when you reach the answer to a question and then you ask the question. Or you can let the student listen to the whole audio, then answer the questions. In the first exercise, which is number 3, we have a question, letter A. Can you think of an action that everyone in every country thinks is wrong?
Yeah.
Miss Maha?
The theft.
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 Theft was mentioned in the audio, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all over the world, yes, Mr. Samer?
Murder.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Murder. Yes.
Yeah. Robbery.
Robbery. Mm-hmm.
All these crimes, everyone in every society or in every country consider them or think is wrong.
Yes. So we have things all over the world, they agree that they are wrong things, and that's why we need law to stop illegal issues. Yeah. Question letter B, how long, and this was mentioned in the audio, how long ago do you think the first code of laws was made, Ms. Maha?
It's 4,000 years ago.
So they said, Mr. Samer?
It was made 4,000 years ago.
4,000 years ago. It was clear.
Time of Hammurabi ruler.
Yeah.
At the time of Hammurabi.
Yeah, in the era of Hammurabi ruler.
Yes.
Yes. And we have the law of Hammurabi. It is very known, very famous. A question, letter C. Who makes the laws in most societies? Mr. Samer?
Governments make laws in all societies.
So usually governments are in charge of making the laws. Now, letter D. We listened twice. Here it is written, you are going to hear about 3 types of law, criminal law, civil law, and what is the third type of law?
Family law.
Family law.
Family law.
We have the family law. Now, some criminals, question letter E, some criminals are sent to prison for their crimes. What is a typical punishment for a less serious crime, Ms. Maha?
Yeah, they may pay a fine.
They may pay a fine.
Yeah.
What else?
Sent to prison.
Sent to prison, this is if the crime is big.
Perhaps pay a fine and then maybe be sent to prison.
We may give them hard work.
We can send them to a psychiatrist.
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 Yeah. Psychiatrist. Usually psychiatrist can help to find a solution to some problem. Because
some advice.
Paying fines is the most appropriate punishment for people who commit minor crimes.
Yeah, good. Being fun usually is applied, and sometimes it works.
It's according to their personality, whether they maybe
The age
being a
depends.
fine or
And sometimes the age, if they are young age people or
according to their
an elderly.
environment.
Excuse me, sometimes people don't have money to pay it as a fine.
So, in this case,
We should send them to a
we send
psychiatrist.
them to a psychiatrist.
Yes, psychiatrist.
Especially with poor people, and usually, most commonly, crimes are happen in poor areas.
Yes.
Because they suffer from poverty, they suffer from a lot of issues, and they feel angry easily, they feel
They have
irritated
reaction.
easily, and this leads to crimes. Now, in the audio we listened to, the speaker defined law. Did he say or she say special code or rules which control society, or individual rules, or the rules of an organization? Mr. Samir?
Okay. He says the rules which control society.
Yes. So question number 5, letter A, how does the speaker define law? It was rules which control society. Letter B, can you read letter B, Ms. Sana, until I show it here?
Okay. Letter B, who makes sure people obey codes of law? It's the police, and judges.
So, who makes sure is the police and judges. Now, question letter C. Ms. Maha, please read it until I show it on the screen.
Which type of law deals with murder and theft? I think criminal law. The
Which
first
type of law deals with murder
The
and
first
theft?
type is criminal law. It talks about murder and theft. And the second type is civil law. It talks about wild actions, perhaps. And the third type is family law. It talks about marriage or adoption. And the last type is property law. They may pay a fine in order to change their
Okay.
property law.
Now, we have words in the exercise 6 written in italics. I'm going to show them on the screen, and then we ask about them. The question says, what do the words in italics in these extracts from the lecture refer to? I'm going to show the words, and we talk about them. Miss Mayada?
Yes.
First word is which. Letter A.
Yes. Yes.
We have the word which. Yes. Which refers to
the law.
The law.
The law is the code or set of rules which govern all individuals.
So which refers to the law.
The law.
Miss Sana, please.
Letter B.
Letter B.
Okay, letter B. A person is innocent until someone proves that he or she is guilty. Now, the words she or he refer to a person.
The person who is guilty. He or she, so the person who is accused. Mr. Samir, letter C.
Letter C. 3 main types of law. Firstly, the one that people know most about. The one refers to one of the main types of law.
Yes. Thank you so much. Letter D, Ms. Maha?
Yeah. The law affects every area of people's daily lives, from marriage, from driving their cars. I think the word refers to people.
Yes. Yeah. So the law affects every area of people's daily lives, from driving their cars till, so there refers to people. Now, we move to exercise 7, discuss. And students need to discuss these 2 issues. We have letter A and we have letter B. Mr. Sam is going to read letter A, please.
Yes. What is the main purpose of sending people to prison? To punish them or to protect society?
Well, so what is the main purpose of sending people to prison? Is it to punish them because they are bad, or to protect the society from them? Mr. Samer?
I think that both are correct. We can protect society and we can punish the people who commit the crimes.
We can punish them and we can protect society. Who else can say something about this?
Mr.
Samer,
Majid,
please.
I think the purpose of prison is to punish people who go against the law.
Against the law, yes.
And give them time to think about what they have done.
Now, do usually countries send people to prison to stay there, or they help them to develop or teach them kind of career or such and such? Yes, Ms. Mahal?
Without law, we will have chaos.
Without law, it will be
Without law, we will have
chaos.
chaos. Yeah.
And the strong will eat the weak, as in a jungle.
It will be as a jungle.
Yes.
Some countries teach prisoners how to do something good in their lives.
So it is a kind of rehabilitation.
Yes.
It's a kind of rehabilitation. We teach these prisoners something. We educate them or teach them kind of crafts.
Of works,
yes.
Also, prisons also keep the bad people away from the good people.
Usually,
very
yes,
important.
we need to take the bad people away from until they prove that they are better. Then we set them free. Second question, letter B. Ms. Sana, read it, please.
Letter B. Do you agree that without laws there would be chaos? How do you think people would behave if there were no laws?
Yes, this is a big question, and this shows the importance of law. Who would like to say something about without law?
Yeah, without law, many people will commit crimes, and they will be a big danger for the society.
Yes, Ms. Maha, please.
People will behave more badly, very badly. People will behave badly because nothing will stop them from doing anything bad. Yeah, no control. Yeah,
like in the jungle. Mr. Samer?
If there were no laws, there would be a chaotic situation.
Chaotic situation.
In society.
Yes, so no rules means no control. And then the chances of violence would increase. And this would lead to chaos. Life without rules control us would literally be a state of disorder. There would be no justice. This is a very important issue. Yes. No justice.
So we need justice in life so that everyone can know his limit and can stop at it. Now, we turn the page. We come to vocabulary because we said that some words have more than one meaning. At the beginning, when I asked you, does it the only meaning? We said some words have two meanings. So we are going to start.
A1.
Yes, 20.
20.
Yes.
Right? Is it shown on the screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Maha, read the first line, please.
When I was a student, I was a member of the Law Society.
Thank you so much. And the second sentence, Mr. Samer?
A strong legal system is important in a modern society.
Now, who can define these two words? Ms. Maha, number one, the first one, society.
Society means club or organization.
A club or an organization?
Yes.
Yes. So when I was a student, I was a member of the Law Society, means the organization of law. Mr. Samer, second one.
The second one means all the people living in a country.
Yes. So the second society is all the people living in a country. Thank you. Let's go to the following word from the book. We have the word ruler. How many meanings we have in the book of ruler, Ms. Maha?
Yeah, ruler means sometimes means someone in charge, governor.
Yeah. And how can the student know the meaning of the word?
From the context of the
from
sentence.
The context. Thank you so much, Mr. Samer. So from the context, if we are saying that I draw a line using a ruler, of course, this does not mean the king.
Yes.
The second meaning of ruler is,
Straight piece.
thank you, Miss Ma, a straight piece of wood, as it is shown now on the screen. Thank you, Miss Sana. So the word ruler has two meanings. The first one, it is shown now on the screen. Thank you, Miss Sana. You have been so helpful. A ruler, someone who is in charge of a country, the king or the president is a ruler. Second word, Mr. Samer, read it, please. A piece.
A piece of wood or plastic which help you draw straight lines.
Yes. A piece of wood or plastic which helps. We have a missing S here in the definition. So we put it on purpose just to talk about it because we are talking about the piece of wood.
Yeah.
And since it is one piece of wood, it is singular, and the singular takes S. Thank you so much. Let's move to the following word, Mr. Samer. Property. So again, property has two meanings. Mrs. Mayada.
Taking another person's property is a theft, or it's theft.
Yes.
The price of property is in the city has increased dramatically this year.
Thank you so much.
So two different meanings. The first one means that property means something that belongs to somebody else, or to you, or to somebody else.
Something that belongs to somebody is a property. And taking someone else's property is a theft. The second one, Ms. Mia?
The second one means land or
buildings.
Or building.
Lands or buildings are the. So when we say the price of property has increased, what do you mean by this?
Became more expensive.
So it is the land and buildings. Now we come to, in the screen, we can see now property is something that belongs to someone. Here the money, the house, and in the other one we see the land and the building. Lands and buildings. The following word is, Miss Sana.
Court.
Court.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'll show it on the screen. Court.
Number one.
Number one.
In the final of the championship, the players were on court for 2 hours. Number two. 3 men will appear in a court tomorrow, accused of dangerous driving.
Thank you so much.
So,
will you please define them?
Okay. In number one, court means an area where people play games like tennis and squash.
Yes, like tennis and squash.
Yeah.
So the piece of land where people play kind of a game. The second one.
However, in the second one, it means a place where trial take place.
So when we say courtroom, of course we mean
courtroom, yes,
the whole
the place where a trial takes place.
Yeah.
And here we see the pictures of the courtroom and the court where we play tennis or we play squash. Now, the following word is
fine. Yes.
Please read it, please.
Fine.
Fine.
How are you? Fine.
So,
okay.
This is the word fine. It has two meanings. One is a noun, and the other is, Mr. Samer?
An adjective.
So, when it is a noun, what does it mean, Mr. Samer, when it is a noun?
When it is a noun, means money people pay as a punishment for doing something illegal.
Which is number one?
Just like in number two.
Number two.
Yes. He had to pay. Read it, Mr. Samer,
okay.
Please.
He had to pay a fine because he was driving without insurance.
Yes, he had to pay a fine because he was driving without insurance. And the second meaning when it is an adjective, Miss Mayada?
It's like when I ask you, how are you? You say fine. Fine is good.
Yeah, so fine is good.
Good job.
Fine is good. To say I am good,
Adjective,
say I am fine. Here it is an adjective.
Yeah.
Now, a question. In both cases, we have a, but a student can differentiate when it is an adjective and when it is a noun. Who can tell me?
Yes.
Mr. Samir?
When it is followed by a noun, it is an adjective.
Thank you.
When it stands by itself, it is a noun.
So when it stands by itself, it's a noun. When it is followed with another noun, it is an adjective. Miss Maha, you want to say something?
I want to continue.
Yes, please.
Go on.
Okay. I want to see it. Secretaries used to spend most of their time typing letters and reports.
So secretaries used to spend most of their time typing letters and reports. Miss Mayada, the following one, read it. Miss Mayada, please.
What type of music do you like best?
What type of music do you like? Miss Maha, define the first
The
one.
first word means write using a machine.
So when we use a machine to write, it is called
Typing.
typing.
Yes.
Typing. And the second one?
Means sort.
Sort.
Kind.
Kind. So what type of music do you like best is what sort, what kind of music?
You are asking me? I like classical music.
You like classical music?
Yes, I prefer like
Me too.
Okay. Maybe we all. I think Miss Sana is younger than me. Maybe she likes something different.
Yeah.
So here in the screen we
What do
see
you mean
that-
you are old?
Yeah, I'm old.
Me too?
No.
We are young at heart.
Okay. So your age is what you feel.
Yeah.
Right. So we have on the screen the two meanings of type. To write using a machine is typing, and again, kind or sort is type. Let us see the following slide. Suggestions for sentences. Now we are going to talk about the sentences about these words. We have a new word, which is note. Miss Mayada is going to read the first line.
I wrote a note to my teacher.
I wrote a note to my
teacher.
Who can tell us about the meaning of note here? Is it a remark?
A remark.
Brief written.
A brief written record to the teacher.
Yes.
Now, please note down what I tell you.
Means write down.
Write down.
So
Or
the
record.
difference here is between verb and noun.
Yes.
So the same meaning, but once it is a verb and once it is a noun. The word case. Again,
See?
Miss Maha, will you please read in black? I carry.
Yeah, okay. In black. I wrote a note. What one? I carry my papers in a case.
I carry my papers in a case. Mr. Samir, read the one in blue.
This case is difficult to solve.
Yes, this case is difficult to solve. So, the meaning of the first one is
Perhaps a
A
bag.
bag.
a container,
Container.
to hold something inside. And the second one,
Something.
It is
This situation or
Situation in
this
a court.
matter.
in a court.
Yes.
So, a
Trial,
case in a
perhaps.
court
Yeah.
to be discussed in a trial. Miss Sana, we move to spring.
Spring is my favorite season.
Spring is my favorite season.
Okay,
so
here
this
spring.
is a season.
Yes, it's a season.
And the second one,
no.
We are skipping green
It's
one.
okay.
take an umbrella in a case. Here, in case is the third meaning. Yes, I surpassed it.
Okay.
Because here it means the
When.
situation.
Yeah, when it rains,
But
it means when.
when it rains, it is a situation.
Yes.
Difference between the case in court it is an issue. Something we are discussing. In case, together, is a situation. If this happens, we do something. Yes, one of the meaning of in case. Yes. Now, spring is my favorite season, which is
A month.
No,
Season.
that period
Sorry, season.
before summer.
Summer.
Yeah,
We know the four
summer.
seasons.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Samir, the following one we get
We get our water from a spring.
from a spring.
Yes.
It
So
is
spring here is
a source of water in
source of
the
water,
ground.
small source. Well is a source of water, but not a spring. Usually, the well is dug in the ground. This is happened by God, naturally. Yes. We have the third meaning of spring, which is The
Which
door
one?
opens.
The door opens because it's on a spring.
So a spring is kind of instrument, round, circle.
Yes, it's a
that
metal
helps
coil.
to, yeah,
It's a
from,
metal
from
coil.
metal.
It's
It can be pressed so that it opens and closes the door. Now we move to the word row has three meanings. Two meanings, same pronunciation, which is row, and the third meaning,
Row.
row. Thank you so much. Mr. Samir, first one.
There is a row of seats in the front of the screen.
So the meaning here is line.
Line of seats.
There is a row of seats in front of the screen. It is a line of seats. Now,
number 2, can you row a boat?
can you row a boat means to use
means to-
oars.
yes.
To use oars to row a
A
boat.
boat.
This is the second meaning. And these two cases, the same pronunciation, row. And when we pronounce it row, it means
To fight.
fight.
Quarrel.
Quarrel. Thank you so much.
As in the last sentence, please don't have a row.
Please don't have a row.
Row. Be friends.
Be
So
friends.
row means fight. Yes.
Yes, and this is important so that, and as Mr. Samir told us, we know the meaning
From the context of the sentence.
We know the meaning from the context. I skipped it?
Yeah.
Yes, this
No,
one.
that.
This- 37.
Yes.
37, yes.
That's right.
Does it accept?
Hey.
Now, it is done. We have a new group. Ms. Miyada is going to start reading.
Possible definitions mean
Mean.
convey a word or idea, not generous.
So, mean, convey a word or idea, not
Not
generous.
The average of several quantities.
The average of several quantities.
Note, a brief written record, a noise made by musical instruments, a piece of paper money. Case,
Yes.
an example of something occurring, a legal action, a container for carrying things. Spring, a season, a rapid movement, a metal coil, a place where water comes from, ground, underground. Row,
Yes.
a number of things in straight line, a fight, a propel boat, a boat with oars.
Yes, so when we move a boat with oars, it is row. We move. Yes, we have a question, an exercise to do. We didn't define the word violence. Violence means an action which is not easy, or we use force to do it. And violence is a noun or an adjective?
No.
No.
It's a noun.
Yeah.
What is the adjective of violence?
Violent.
Violent.
Violent. Well, can you do number 1, Mr. Samir?
Yes. Many people believe that the worst crimes are murder and other violent acts.
Yes. Number 2, we have 2 spaces. We're going to use the words chaos and law. And these are 2 nouns. You're going to derive the adjectives from them. Miss Sana?
Number 2, there would be a chaotic situation in society if there were no legal system.
Thank you so much. So there would be a chaotic situation in society if there were no legal systems. Then we come to Ms. Mayada, innocence.
Yes.
Innocence is the noun.
Is a noun.
The adjective is
innocent.
Innocent. And we explained this. Innocent is someone who is not responsible for
He
crime.
left court a free man because he had proved that he was innocent.
Yes. He left court a free man because he had proved that he was
not guilty, innocent. Yeah.
Miss Maha, the jury said he was not guilty. So guilt is the noun. And guilty is the
An
adjective.
adjective.
The following one is grammar.
Yes.
When we come to grammar, in this lesson, we have, okay, Mr. Samer, we are going to use it again. We can have a look. Yes, thank you so much. If we look at this picture, we can see people. What can we see on the floor, on the ground?
There is a man on the ground.
There is a man on the ground. Maybe he is injured.
Yes.
What do you think has happened?
I think there is an accident.
So there has been
An accident.
There has been a car accident, yes.
Maybe a car hit the man and maybe there is a problem in his leg. So we look at the picture and we note down some sentences using the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Now, do you think the driver was driving slow or fast?
I think he was driving fast.
He has been driving fast. So he has been driving fast. And he has hit the man. And the man's leg has broken. Has broken. Now, so the form, who can tell me the form of the present perfect simple?
Yes. Have or has plus past participle of the verb.
So verb 3. So the
Verb
subject
three, yes.
plus have or has plus
verb 3.
Verb 3, which is past participle. Of course, have goes with Miss Sana, I, you, we, they.
I,
and
you,
has,
they,
Miss
She,
Mayada goes
he,
with
it.
he, she, it. Now, the second sentence we said, he has been driving fast. This is the present perfect continuous. What is the form, Mr. Samer?
The form of the present perfect continuous is have or has plus been plus verb ing.
Thank you so much. So we use been plus verb ing with verb to have to show that the action started in the past and
Continue to the
without
present.
stop
present
till the
time.
present and may continue in the future. Now, let's explain the simple present perfect at the beginning. Miss Maha?
Yeah, we call the present perfect, the present perfect about something started in the past, continued without stop to the present, and maybe continue to the future. In this case, we may use since and for.
So this is one of the uses of present perfect simple. Thank you. Mr. Samer, please.
The present perfect simple is the same as the simple past,
Thank you.
but without reference to the time.
Thank you so
Okay?
much.
So when I say I have painted my room, it is without reference to the past.
Yes.
And we use the present perfect. And when I say someone painted the house yesterday or last week, we have a reference to the time and it is used in the simple past.
Thank you so much. So both the students have a question to differentiate between the simple past and the present perfect. We can help them if there is time reference. If the time of the action is mentioned, we use
the past simple.
the past simple.
Yeah.
If it is not mentioned, if the time is not mentioned, we use
Present
perfect.
But there should be connection with the present when we use
The present perfect
For
simple.
example, when someone is dead, we cannot say he has written a novel or something, because when someone is dead, he lost connection with the present. The connection to the present, the sentence Mr. Samer said, someone has painted the walls. Now we see the result.
Yeah.
We see that the walls are painted.
Painted.
Now, if it was last week, how do we say it?
Someone painted the walls last
The walls
week.
last week. Yes.
Yeah, an example of the present perfect, for example, the clouds have already gathered in the sky. It means it will rain later.
Yeah, okay.
We are waiting for the result.
Now,
the coming result.
if we want now to talk about how to make the question of the present simple perfect,
Okay.
Present perfect simple, what do we do?
We invert have or has with the subject.
Thank you. So
Have
we
or
invert-
has plus subject plus been plus verb 3.
Yeah. So if it is he has written a letter becomes
Has
Has
he written a letter?
A letter. Thank you. So one of them is has and the other is have. Have goes with I, you, we, they. Now, the negative is very simple.
We add not.
We add not
Just
after
Have or
after
has.
have or has.
I have
Or
been
I
finished.
have never gone to America.
We
Never.
can use never,
Never.
as well to make negative. Yes,
Yes.
thank you very much. Now we know the forms of the affirmative, the
Negative.
question, and negative. But most importantly for the students is the use. First use, who can tell us about the first use, Mr. Samer?
To express something happened and finished before now. We don't know the time. In this case, we can use the present perfect simple with just, already, and yet.
So keywords that help the student to know that it is the present perfect simple are yet, just, and already.
For example,
Can you tell us, Mr. Samer, difference between just and already?
just in 2 minutes to 5 minutes before
Yes,
now.
recent past.
Yes, recent
Very
past.
recent past.
Yes,
But already
a long time ago.
happened before and
Hours.
now it is done.
About
thank you
hours,
very much.
yeah.
I wanted to say an
I
example.
wanted to say an example. I have just opened the door.
I have just
Opened
opened
the
the
door.
door. I have just finished my breakfast. I have just written a letter. Yes, Miss Sana, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say the next use of the present perfect tense.
The second use, yes.
The second use. Something that happened many times till now. For example.
So when someone repeats,
Repeated
happens
action.
and finishes and happens again and finishes like an exam, like a storm. Yes, Miss Maha?
I want to tell about the third.
No, let's
Okay.
finish
Because
the...
I have just told it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, for example.
For example,
We've had 3 texts till now. Or up till
we
now.
have had 3 tests
Yes.
till now or up to now or so
So
far.
far.
Yes, Mr. Samer?
I have played 3 times up to now.
Sometimes it is a driving, if I'm having a driving test,
Yes.
I may have it 2 or 3 or 4 times before I get the license. So I can mention that saying, I have had the driving test
for
3 times,
Yeah.
and finally I took the license. Yes.
Another
Now
one.
the third use.
Yeah.
Miss
It's
Maha?
about something that started in the past, continued without stop to the present, and maybe continue to the future. In this case, we may use since and for.
So we use since and for to show that something has started in the past, has continued without stop till the present, and may continue in the future. And in this case, it is the same like the present perfect continuous. We're going to talk about it. Now,
Again,
who
there is an
can
item.
give us an example about this case? Miss Maha?
I have lived in Damascus since 1994.
I have been
living.
I have been living is the present perfect continuous.
Yeah, I have lived in Damascus since 1994.
I have lived in Damascus since 1994. Thank you, Mr.
I
Samer.
have played my guitar for 3 years.
Thank you. So we use since with a point in time,
Yes.
and for a duration
Of time.
of time. Thank you. And number 4,
Yes.
Miss Mayada.
To stress the length of the time an activity has taken.
This is for the present perfect continuous, I
She's
guess.
been training to be a doctor for 6 years.
Thank you. This is the present perfect continuous. About the present perfect simple, Mr. Samer.
Something never happened before.
Something never happened before.
With never or ever.
We use never to show that something never happened. Yes,
For
please.
example, I have never been to Homs before.
I have never been to Homs. Yes,
I have
Miss.
never been to America.
I have never been to America.
Okay, have you ever visited Mexico?
So when we ask about something may happen or may not happen, we use ever. Have you ever been
For
to
the first
Mexico?
time, yeah.
If someone never saw snow, we can say I have never
seen
snow, because here we don't have time, so we cannot say I cannot say I didn't see snow. I can say I didn't see snow if we have time. I didn't see snow when I was in Russia, for example. This is
In the
another
past.
way. But when I'm talking about something never happened, we use the present perfect simple. Thank you. Let's move to the present perfect continuous. The form is
Have, has,
subject plus have plus has.
the past participle
been
of
and verb and
been.
ing.
Being, verb,
And verb,
ing.
ing.
An example?
I have been
Working.
cleaning the house all the morning.
I have been cleaning the house all the morning. This is female.
Yeah.
And a male may say, I have been waiting for
I have been for you
for ages.
since since the morning.
Yeah, since the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
We
And
can-
the question?
Is have you been waiting for me?
Have you been waiting for me long, for example,
Long, yeah.
Mr. Samir?
Have you been studying English?
For a long time? Have you
Yes.
been studying English? Yes,
And
Ms.
for
Mohammed?
our dear students, have you been wasting your time all the year? I hope that you will be better.
No, usually
No.
they don't.
I
Usually
hope they will
don't
be
use.
better, yeah.
Yes. And the negative is very easy. We add
No.
Not.
not
We.
after
I
verb
haven't
to have.
been to.
I haven't
writing.
been working.
I haven't been working. I
Haven't
didn't
been.
work. She hasn't been cleaning the house. Now we come to something important, which is the use, because the use of the tense helps the students know which tense to use in the exam paper.
Yeah.
So the first use, Mr. Samir.
To express past activity that has a present result.
Thank you so much. And this is very clear in our book. An example.
I am tired. I have been playing football all the time.
Thank you, Miss Maha.
Another example, your eyes are red and puffy. Have you been crying?
Yes, so the result is her eyes are red and puffy. It means either she has been crying or she has been
Cutting onions.
cutting onions. Yes, if you are
Yeah.
cutting onions or
Right.
peeling onions, yeah, this
forgot
leads
that.
to crying.
Yeah.
Now, this is when we have, and this is very shown in our book to our students, when they say that we have a result, your eyes are red, you are tired, now you look tired, a question follows is present perfect continuous. Have you been playing? Have you been? Now, when we see something with paint all around his dress or his shirt or trousers, we say he has been painting the wall. Yes, Miss May, want to say
I
something?
think sometimes we use the present perfect continuous to tell about complaining. I have been cleaning the house all the morning and I haven't finished yet.
Yeah, you may show
Yeah,
annoyance
sometimes.
about something.
Complaining.
This is to exaggerate the time.
Yeah.
To show it is a long time which you don't like. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. The second use, which is in our books, is what you said, Miss Mayada.
To talk about an activity which may not be completed.
Yes, to talk about an activity which is not completed.
Like she
Now,
has
in
been-
this case, actually, when we have something not complete, we usually use the continuous tense. If it is past continuous or present continuous or present perfect continuous. So when we use the continuous, it means that the action is not complete. Like when I say, I was reading a book on a plane, and another example, I read a book on the plane. Read a book means I finished. I was reading means I didn't finish.
Here is an example. She has been training to be a doctor for 6 years, and she hasn't finished.
She hasn't
yet,
finished
or graduated yet.
Now we use it to show that something has started in the past, continued till the present,
And
and
may
may
continue
continue,
till now.
and we
future.
use since
and for.
and for. Now for the student, how can he know to use the present perfect continuous or present perfect simple when both are the same with since and for?
I
Mr.
think he
Sami.
can use both, and they are both
They
correct.
are right.
Yes, thank you.
Both
So
are
both are
correct,
correct, but sometimes if the book or the test wants him to use the present perfect continuous, we may find a word like all plus
All.
time.
Yes.
All,
All
week,
morning, all week.
morning.
Right.
All plus time shows a length
Yes.
of time. So
Right.
when we have a length of time, we use the present perfect continuous. Miss Sana showed on the screen something. Will you please talk about it?
Okay, the first question is, what have you done so far this week?
Here it is finished.
Yeah.
And when
Have
it
you
is
done?
finished, we don't use the present perfect continuous. We use the present perfect sentence.
Have.
What answers are okay here?
I have played tennis
I
3
have
times.
played tennis Mr. Samir?
I have visited my grandparents.
I have visited my grandparents, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
number 2. Miss Maha, read it, please.
What are some of the things you've been doing for a length of time?
Yes.
Yeah. I have been singing wonderful songs for Fairuz lots of time.
You have a nice
Yeah.
voice.
What are some of the things you have been doing for a length of time needs time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I have been cleaning the room for 3 hours.
3 hours, yeah.
It shows
Yeah.
length of time.
Yeah.
Or
Sense.
I have been teaching students for 20 years.
Yeah. We must
So
tell the
something
time.
that
Yeah.
takes a length of time.
Yeah.
What else, Mr. Samir?
My wife has been cleaning the house for 3 hours.
For 3 hours. Yes.
She's very
Miss
quick.
Ma.
Yeah. I have been trying my best to have this meeting for 3 days.
Oh my God.
That's a long time.
I have been preparing
not a long
for
time.
this meeting only 5 hours.
No, I'm not telling the
Or
truth.
all the
I'm trying to
morning
tell the
Yeah,
up
truth.
till
I
now.
know that is an
And you know
example.
that.
5 hours is a length of time,
Yeah.
and 3 days
Yeah.
is a length of
Or
time.
the morning.
Yeah,
It's
so we
untrue,
express
but
the
it's
length
only
of time by
time,
using
yes.
the
Yeah.
present perfect continuous. Number
Yeah.
3, Miss Sana.
Number 3. How long have you been doing these things?
Thank you very much. So here we have the question word. When it is a length of time, the question word is how long.
How long?
Yeah.
So when we want the student to use the present perfect continuous, we use how long in the question. How long have you been doing these things? And the answer is the present perfect continuous.
With
I
or.
have been.
I have been playing the piano since I was 20.
Now,
How long needs with for better?
sorry?
How long? Okay, we can use since and for.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Since and for, yeah, of
Sense
course.
of for.
Since and for because it is a period of time. Number 4, Mr. Samir.
What have your friends or members of your family been doing recently?
Again, this is present perfect continuous.
Yes. My brother has been helping my mother since the morning.
My brother has been helping my mother since the morning. Yes, Miss Sana, another question, another
Okay.
example.
Layla has been revising her science exam.
Layla has been revising
Revising
for
for her
her
science
science exam.
exam.
Yes, Miss Ma.
My friends have been writing poetry since 1994.
Okay. Well, now in the book, if we go back to the book, please have a look. We ask the students to distinguish the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous, and we ask them to underline the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous. I think we explained both
Right.
the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous, the form and the use. Here we have a question. What is the difference in meaning between the underlined verbs in these pairs of sentences? Mr. Samir, exercise 3, letter A. Will you please read both sentences?
Okay. Ali has studied law and history this year.
Yes?
Hani has been studying law and history for 4 years.
Yes. So the difference is?
The difference is that Ali is still studying. Sorry, in the first sentence, Ali has finished studying history.
Thank you. So Ali has finished.
Yes.
In the letter A, Ali has finished studying, while in second one,
he is still a student at university.
A student at university. Thank you. Miss Mayada.
Omar has written 2 essays this morning. It means he has finished already or just we don't know how long.
Yes.
And he finished writing essays. Number 2, Hassan has been writing an essay all morning, and we don't know if he has finished or not.
Usually he hasn't finished. Finished. Yes, Miss Maha.
Yeah. The police sergeant has interviewed 2 people so far today. The detective have been interviewing people all week.
So the police sergeant has interviewed 2 people so far. So he finished interviewing 2 people, Well, Mr. Samer, the next one is
The detectives have been interviewing people all week, and they are still interviewing people.
Yes.
But he repeated action.
They haven't
They haven't
finished
Many
yet.
times
He
they
hasn't
interviewed.
finished
Every
yet.
day
here,
they
here,
interview
Miss
and
Miyaga,
finish.
it shows that something has been taking place for a period of time,
Yes.
started in the past, has
And-
continued to the present,
may-
and may continue
But he
in the
repeated
future.
many times.
Then in the book we have the picture which we talked about, which is about the accident. We finished it. Exercise 5.
We finished.
We finished this as well. Well, we move to read.
Yes.
I'm not. Is it in the PowerPoint, Miss Sana? Please, can you help us?
Now we have an
We have
essay about a new
A
crime.
new crime.
Yes. As you can see in the picture, it's a cyber crime.
Yes.
Now, this is the question discussion. One example of old and new crimes.
Miss Sana, will you please stand from this side so that the mic takes you? Yes.
Before reading, discuss in groups. What example of old and new crimes does the writer give?
Yes.
B. What do you think motivates internet criminals? C. How do you think internet criminals should be punished?
So, in every reading task, we have 3 stages. Pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading. Here, pre-reading, we ask the students to discuss in groups these 3 questions, examples of old and new crimes. The old crimes are like thefts, robbery, and the new crime is the cyber
Yes.
crimes,
Cyber crimes.
which happens usually
Computer
nowadays
Through computers.
through
They use
computers.
technology. Yes.
Now, B, what do you think motivates internet criminals? It is easy, I think, to steal through the internet. Personal information, a credit card, password, something. Maybe it's easier, or maybe it's not easy to be caught.
Yes. Invisible. They are invisible.
They have false names.
This reminds me of a joke. Someone was asked, "Have you been in prison?" The answer was no. The person who asked said, "Why?" Yes, I had never been caught.
Yeah.
So he was a thief, but the police never stopped him. So, letter C, how do you think internet criminals should be punished? Here is the role of the students. They are going to discuss these issues before they go to the text. Now, let's go to the text, Miss Sana. New crime. The law related to computer crime. Yes. Actually, we don't have something called reading aloud, which we need to make it clear to all teachers, because some teachers till now think, as they were taught by their old-fashioned teachers in the past. I myself, when I was a student, the teacher used to ask every individual to stand up and read a line or 2 lines, but this is wrong. So reading is for comprehension. And reading for comprehension, Mr. Samer can help us to explain reading for comprehension. How do you usually give this text to your students? What do you ask them to do? How do you prepare? What questions do you usually ask? Do you prepare questions before they read? What?
Okay. First, I ask them to read silently while I am writing on the board the lessons which I want people to answer through their reading.
Thank you very much. So no reading for nothing. They are reading to find information. And this information they are going to be asked, the teacher prepares and writes them on the board. So you ask your students to read silently a paragraph. Now, if the text is long, you divide it
into.
and you prepare the questions. Then you ask the students to read every paragraph. While reading, you write the questions on the board.
And then I make a conversation between students to ask the question and someone else to answer the question.
So this is called pair work.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So we need to activate pair work. First, the students to discuss with each other, and also we can divide them into groups.
Yeah.
And then there is a spokesman of
every group and to speak on behalf of the group.
Yes, Ms. Maha, you want to say something?
I want to say, making groups, we need some, from time to time, to change the spokesperson in order to encourage those who are shy, the shy students.
Yes, that's right.
Well, now, before we start the reading issue, I think it's time for break. Okay. Let's have a break, have some water, and